Hey, so do you feel like you put way too much pressure on yourself? It feels like you could break from all that pressure you feel at work, meetings, public speaking, even simple conversations can feel like an overwhelming performance. And if this is you, stick around, because in this video, I want to help you understand putting all that pressure on yourself is a form of self-sabotage. It's sabotaging your performance. And I want to show you how to shift this so that you can actually perform at your highest level without all that pressure. So let's get into it now. And before we get into this, I just want to welcome you here. If you're new, welcome. My name is Rubin. I'm a transformational coach, and this community is dedicated to helping you reduce your social anxiety, increasing your self-esteem and feelings of self-worth so you can develop your fearless self-expression. If that resonates with you, consider hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification beside that too, so you know right when I release a new video, you can check it out right away. Now, the reason that you feel so much pressure at work, let's say it's meetings, the public speaking at work, or the presentations, or just mingling and interacting with your coworkers, the reason that they're so overwhelming, you feel like you're gonna break because of it, is because of one word, and that's importance. The more importance that you place on this performance, the more importance that you place on it, and especially the outcome of it, the higher your anxiety levels are going to be. The higher your anxiety levels, the higher your nerves. And we're gonna talk about more in depth about importance in just a little bit, but let's break down your anxiety levels as a result of placing too much importance on that performance. Your nervousness or your anxiety levels, there's a very fine balance there to reach your optimal performance. You don't want them too high. So there is such thing as a healthy amount of nerves. You don't want too much nervousness, too much anxiousness to the point where you're getting overwhelming symptoms. Think about it. Racing heart, can't breathe, mind goes blank. This is what I used to experience whenever I had to speak at work. You can't perform. It'll shut down your functionality. It'll completely shut down your ability to perform. But on the other end, you don't want to feel no nerves at all. That's just as unproductive as well, because if you have no nerves at all, you don't feel anything at all, well then you're gonna have a limp performance. It's gonna feel passionless. There's gonna be no excitement. There's gonna be no energy behind it. Or the point, or what you're trying to articulate in that moment, it's just not gonna have any power on it. And people will kind of hear a little bit what you're saying, but they're not gonna be convinced. They're not gonna really be listening to what you're saying and taking it in and being influenced by what you say, which is ultimately what you want. Now, remember, there's that healthy amount of nerves. And I wanna help you understand this by showing you, for example, athletes. Athletes are the best example, I believe, of high performance. So for example, boxers, gymnasts, MMA fighters, basketball players, soccer players. So if we look at a high-end athlete, for example, I'm gonna go with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA because that's what I used to train for a long time. So if we look over here, when a UFC fighter steps into the cage, he's feeling something. He's not completely relaxed and to the point where he's got this kind of lazy energy and he's lethargic. That's way too little. If he steps into the cage like that, he's gonna get pulverized. On the other hand, if he's got way too much anxiousness to the point where he's got a racing heart rate, he can't breathe, he's just so nervous, he won't even be able to focus on throwing punches, kicks, takedowns, defending takedowns. He's gonna be way too nervous to have that ability to focus on the task at hand. And if this is making sense to you, you find that in the work meetings, you're either completely way too relaxed and kind of checked out, or it's way too overwhelming. The high anxiety, the extreme nerves, and it ruins your ability to be functional and perform, and you can't find that middle ground. Let us know in the comments. Let's discuss this below. Okay, and so to get your anxiety levels, to get your nerves to that optimal level so you can perform at your highest level, just like a pro athlete, is we have to look at what we talked about at the beginning of the video, importance. Remember, importance is the underlying factor that dictates your anxiety levels. Why is that? Because importance has to do with self-worth. Please understand, this is extremely important. Importance, let's define it right now. It's how much you place your self-worth onto the outcome, how much you attach your self-worth to the outcome of that performance. So for example, if I perform well, that means I'm a winner in life. If I perform poorly, I'm a piece of shit and I'm a failure and I'm never gonna amount to no good. So you can see how much importance really factors into the pressure you feel in that moment, which ultimately dictates your ability to enter that flow state and perform at your highest level. And I want to share with you this call I had with one of our community members because it's going to help you really understand this importance and the self-worth dynamic and how it works together to drive your anxiety levels up. So this gentleman in particular, very dire circumstances. He had this job, he's got a family at home, he's the provider as well, and he's going to work, and every single time in the work meetings he gets put on the spot to speak or he has to do a presentation, debilitating symptoms. Absolutely debilitating symptoms. Panic attack, can't speak, mind's going blank, racing heart, can't breathe. He's starting to have to make excuses to get out of there. Every time he gets put on the spot, the trembling, the shaking is just getting overwhelming. He doesn't know if he can continue his job as a project manager. Now, when we were on the call, I knew right away he's just placing so much pressure on himself. And we could tell by the call, I'm gonna do a great job and I want to give a great speech and I want my daughters to know that I can do it. He's placing so much importance and pressure on himself to give these articulate and powerful presentations. And then we started to peel back the layers and I said, well, what's going on? Like when you're about to perform, what are you truly afraid of? What's your concern in that moment? And the overall concern is, well, I might embarrass myself. I might embarrass myself and I might come across as incompetent. I said, okay, that embarrassment, that feeling like you're incompetent, what is that? I feel like a complete failure. Okay, when did you first feel that? Feeling into it and he goes, oof. Yeah, it's reminding me of the times when I used to be going to soccer practice. My dad's driving me to soccer practice and he's putting all this pressure on me. You better do good today. You better not make me look bad. That kind of pressure. Dad's putting all this pressure on him. And then he would make mistakes during the game and dad would give this, he'd be screaming and yelling and shaking his head with disapproval. And then again on the way home, beating up on him for his mistakes. Why did you do that? Why did you make that mistake? The coach said this. Why didn't you listen to that? Dumping him on the way home. So you can see where this is coming from. The performance or what became associated with performing in the past, for example, when he was a young soccer player, is if you don't perform well, if you don't do this competently, you're nothing. You have no worth. You're nobody. You're a failure. You're a piece of shit. If you do not perform this well, you better perform this well. If not, I can't even say you're my son. That type of energy. Think about that. Think about how that contributes to how much importance he's placing on performance. Because your subconscious mind, when you go into these work situations, your subconscious mind only knows you're performing over here. It reminds your brain and your body of the past time when you're performing over here when you were younger. It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that dad's not screaming at you anymore. It can't tell that. All it knows is performance, performance. So what does it do? It takes the exact same feelings from your past, during your past performances, and it brings them in to your current performance. And that becomes the thing that you fear moving forward. There's a saying in life, I think this is one of the most powerful sayings that I've ever heard. It's from David Hawkins. He's the author of Letting Go. And he says, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it's something along the lines of, we don't actually fear life, or we don't actually fear life events. We fear our feelings. And so this gentleman over here, he wasn't feeling, or he wasn't fearing the actual presentations or the public speaking. He was fearing feeling like a piece of shit after. That's what he was truly fearing. He was fearing feeling like he has zero worth if he can't perform that well. And placing so much importance and pressure on it that it's giving him such high anxiety levels that it's ultimately ruining his performance at the end of the day. So what I want you to do is take the pressure off of yourself. Lower the importance that you're placing on this performance. It's not life or death. You have to understand it. It does not dictate who you are as a human being. It doesn't make you a failure if you perform poorly. And here's another thing. It doesn't make you a winner if you do well. That doesn't make you a winner either. You don't want to place your importance and your self-esteem just because you performed well. Does that mean you're a complete winner in life and everything's okay? No. You do not want flimsy self-esteem like that, okay? So stop placing so much importance on that work meeting, that performance, the presentation. The second thing, what I want you to do is, if that's hard, it's like no matter what, you just can't take the pressure off. You just can't get out of your head. You can't get the symptoms down. I want you to start looking at, when did your self-worth start getting placed or attached to performing? And who was it? What were the experiences that caused you to start placing your self-worth there and feeling like either you're a failure or you're a good person just because you perform something well? Because when you lower the importance, your anxiety levels go down and you hit the flow state, it's so easy to do the public speaking, to do the work meetings, to speak in front of people, whatever you got to do. Trust me, this is coming from a guy that I had to sit in a bathroom for an hour before work meetings. Breathing techniques, affirmations, visualizations. Think about the importance. Oh, geez, just so I could try to get a sentence out. And it never worked. It never worked. I would only get a few words out before my mind went blank, racing heart, can't breathe, completely humiliating myself in front of people. Why? Because there was so much importance there on me performing that thing well. Why? Because I used to get screamed at as well on the soccer field. Screamed, humiliated, embarrassed. You're a complete failure. You're a piece of shit because you made a mistake on the soccer field. So you could see where it's coming from. And I remember going to Toastmasters, for example. I was trying to resolve this issue through Toastmasters, and it's not a Toastmasters issue. It's a self-worth issue. But anyway, so I went to Toastmasters, and I remember they got these things called table topics. So they'll put you on the spot. And no matter what happened, I couldn't speak more than 17 seconds. I would just go up there, blank out, and be like, oh, geez, like I can't, my mind's going blank. It's just too overwhelming. I cannot answer the question. I can't speak, over and over again. Toastmasters Club after Toastmasters Club. I think I was in and out of 4 different clubs. But when I resolved the self-worth issue, it's so easy. It's so easy because I remember getting back into Toastmasters, and I went to this one club, and I remember I had to do the table topics, and I called up and I spoke, and I went to the front, and 17 seconds go by, 30 seconds go by, and I take another breath. And I keep talking, and I keep talking. And I remember I hit 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the whole club knew that Rubin had this insane public speaking, physical symptoms, going blank, non-functional problem. And I remember I looked up and I said, holy shit, I just spoke for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I haven't ever been able to speak more than 17 seconds. And I remember this lady, this older lady, she was my friend in the club. She stands up and she starts standing ovation, and everybody's clapping because I was able to speak and articulate without the overwhelming symptoms, without the non-functionality. Why? Because I worked on the self-worth issues and I stopped placing so much importance on that impromptu speech. Again, after the fact, it didn't make me a winner. It didn't make me a loser. It's just a performance. I just stopped viewing that as life and death. I stopped viewing that as the be all end all. And that is your way out of this. And if you need some extra support, you can't lower the importance, you can't get those nervousness levels down because the lack of self-worth is so strong, then take my masterclass. I'm gonna link it below the video. I wanna offer you this masterclass so I can walk you through that step-by-step process, how to go back to the past when those self-worth issues started, when your self-worth started getting attached to certain performances, and how to heal that and lower the importance you place on performing so the anxiety levels go down. You can hit that flow state and perform at your best. So make sure you take that training today and empower yourself and your future. And if you're still with me, thank you for staying until the end. Here's another video you can check out next. It goes into the physical symptoms, specifically 6 physical symptoms, why they're getting triggered off and why you experience each of those symptoms specifically. It's gonna give you a lot of clarity. So I recommend you check that out next. And if you found the video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. All right, see you later.